Al-Jaafari stresses that an international conference on Syria cannot succeed as long as weapons are being sent to the armed terrorist groups. The Russian Foreign Ministry stresses that the UN Tripartite meeting in Geneva agreed on the necessity of holding an international conference on Syria. French authorities arrest members of an armed terrorist group who were recruiting terrorists to be sent into Syria. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. Syria's permanent representative to the UN, Dr. Bashar Al-Jaafari, said, Syria's stand is clear and is committed to the need to hold an international conference in Geneva, but the problem lies with the other side and its patrons. The Geneva conference, Dr. Jaafari added, is a real chance to stop the bloodshed. Therefore, the government would go there to put an end to the violence and form a national unity government with the participation of all sides. Al-Jaafari asked why the opposition will come to the negotiations if it gets billions of dollars from the Qataris and Saudis and logistic assistance from the Turkish government and weapons from the West. On accusing Syria of using chemical weapons, Jaafari said the Syrian government was the side that asked for the investigation, and it still welcomes the arrival of the Eki team to investigate the terrorists' use of chemical weapons in Khan al-Assal in Aleppo, and has no problem regarding the inspectors, only regarding the framework and details of the inspection mission. Jaafari said the UN Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs, Fernandez Tranco, did not present a full picture of the situation related to the provision on the situation in the Middle East, which has basically to do with the Arab-Israeli conflict and the Palestinian cause, ignoring what happened to the UN disengagement force in the Golan and the Qatari role in giving instructions to the terrorists to kidnap soldiers from the Philippine unit. Al-Jaafari added that the Syrian government has drawn attention to the smuggling of terrorists via the Syrian borders with Lebanon, Turkey and Jordan, but the UN has done nothing to stop the influx of those terrorists. Al-Jaafari said that when France and Britain become deeply involved in politically supporting and arming the terrorists, then they cannot be objective and neutral. On the contrary, they will be part of the problem, not the solution. Their objective will be to open Syria as a whole to what they call the UN investigation. Moscow has announced that agreement was reached during the Tripartite meeting of the UN, US and Russia's representatives held in Geneva yesterday on the need to hold an international conference on Syria as soon as possible. In a statement, the Russian Foreign Ministry, which reported this, said that the parties to the Geneva meeting reached a joint understanding that such conference would be held under the UN patronage with the purpose of launching a comprehensive dialogue among the Syrians to enable them to take key decisions on the future of the Syrian state in accordance with the Geneva statement agreed upon in June last year. The Russian Foreign Ministry statement said the structure of the Syrian opposition representatives was one of the main topics on the agenda of the meeting, adding that emphasis was laid on the need for the opposition's representatives to reflect the most prominent political forces and all the Syrian people's factions. The statement pointed out that the three parties to the meeting also discussed the possibility of forming the delegations of the participating countries, emphasizing the need to ensure their constructive contribution to the advancement of the political process in Syria. The statement pointed out that the Russian side has underlined the importance of creating a positive atmosphere for the convention of an international conference on Syria and rejecting any unilateral steps that contravene the unified efforts exerted by Russia, the USA and the UN to reach a political settlement to the crisis. The statement added that the Tripartite meeting also affirmed strong commitment to the Russian-American initiative declared on the 7th of last May and the relevant provisions announced in the Group of 8 declaration. Algerian Foreign Minister Murad Medelci said the only and permanent way out of the crisis in Syria is an earnest dialogue among the Syrians. He said his country has been working with Russia for some time in this direction. In an interview with Russia Today satellite channel, Medelci said increasing the armament of the armed groups would delay a political solution and would lead to thousands of victims, further devastation and the increase of the number of the displaced. Medelci pointed out that his country's principled stand is non-intervention in others' affairs. Therefore, foreign interventions are not helpful and prevent rapprochement among the Syrians. Medelci said preparations are underway for the convention of an international conference on Syria and work must be done to render it successful. However, the problems are many, he added, affirming that some of them are related to the opposition team and others have to do with the various interpretations of the Geneva statement. Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi has reiterated his country's stand calling for a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria. He stressed that the solution should be Syrian without the intervention of others. In a joint press conference with his Tajikistani counterpart, Hemra Khan Zarifi, Salehi warned against the negative catastrophic repercussions on the region if the crisis in Syria is not run in a correct way. Welcome back. At least 20 Syrians were injured in a stabbing attack where their vehicle was targeted by a group of unknown attackers in eastern Beirut. 3 cars with tinted windows intercepted a minibus carrying 25 Syrians in the Jisr al-Wati neighborhood. 8 men attacked the passengers with knives, injuring 20 of them. The Lebanese National News Agency said the group was headed to a studio to record Syrian folklore music. As part of their vicious agenda to target Syria's infrastructure, terrorist gunmen opened fire last night at the workers of Al-Qaboon power station in Damascus, killing 1 and injuring others. The terrorists targeted with heavy machine guns the power station, killing worker Adil Mleh and wounding some of his colleagues. Meanwhile, an armed terrorist group attacked this morning gas and fuel pipelines which feed electricity power stations, causing electricity cutoffs in different parts of southern governorates. Our armed forces targeted al-Nusra terrorists near Al-Basil Dam in Al-Hasaka governorate, killing and wounding dozens of terrorists, in addition to destroying their vehicles, which were equipped with heavy machine guns. Army units shelled 5 sites in which terrorists were hiding, killing and wounding dozens of them. The armed forces continued its operations against the armed terrorist groups in Homs and its countryside and eliminated scores of the terrorists. A military source told Sana reporter that the army fully controlled a Shire gas field in Palmyra countryside and killed the terrorists in the area. The army killed scores of terrorists in the areas of Al-Qarabis, Al-Khalidiyya and Al-Qusur in Homs city. The army units also pursued the armed terrorist groups in the areas of Al-War, Kisin, Talbise, Der Foul, Ayun Hussein, Al-Ghamto and Beit Hajjo in Homs countryside and inflicted heavy losses upon the terrorists. Army units destroyed a number of hideouts for Jabhat al-Nusra terrorists in the areas of Al-Thaljiya, Isa, Al-Tarfawi and Rasm al-Ward in Hama countryside, along with the ammunitions and weapons inside them. Finally, French authorities arrested members of a terrorist group returning from Syria, working to recruit French armed men to join the fight there. French Interior Minister Manuel Valls said that the French police arrested 3 people from a group that was sending armed men to Syria. Valls revealed that no less than 30 French armed men returned from Syria after joining the fight with the terrorists there. Valls, who admitted that there were terrorist acts in Syria, acknowledged that his country should take strong measures to fight terrorism and to pursue the groups that facilitate the movement of Al-Qaeda terrorists into Syria. French authorities have admitted the participation of about 300 French citizens in the terrorist acts in Syria, voicing concern that those might come back to France to commit several crimes there. Meanwhile, the US and many European countries announced the engagement of dozens of their citizens in the fight alongside al-Nusra Front in Syria, estimating the number of the European terrorists by more than 600 people who are feared they would return to their countries with the same terrorist behavior. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Vani Gunjan after a short break.